welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayana. I'm a licensed massage therapist, esthetician, and spa owner. And in this video, we're talking all things policies. So whether you're an esthetician, a massage therapist, a body contourist, whatever it is that you do, if you do service-based work, then you need to have policies in place to make sure that your spa services can go smoothly, your time is respected, and your clients know what to expect when they come in for their appointments. Well, let's hop right into it. Also, I'd like to mention, if you haven't seen my video about enforcing boundaries in your practice, I will link it up above. But let's get right into this video. First, let's talk about why policies and having them are so important. I'll give you an example. Recently, I had an appointment. It was scheduled with me, and so I had to go to the spa to get ready for it. You know, I had to make sure everything was clean, make sure everything was good to go, so that when the client came in, we could just get started with the appointment. And then about 5 minutes before the appointment was getting ready to take place, the client called and said that they needed to cancel. And at that point, I reminded them what our cancellation policy said, and unfortunately, it didn't really go very well. They were actually really upset and ended up hanging up, and it just wasn't good. And even worse is that I had no way to charge that client because I had only gotten a card on file. And so because this has happened in the past, it let me know that we need to go ahead and change this policy so that I can actually charge in the case that someone cancels or there's a no-show. And I didn't want to do this, but we started charging deposits for appointments. So that is what inspired this video to share with you. You know, if you're ready for a change, if you notice that your boundaries aren't really being respected, it might be time to change some of your policies. So I'm going to be talking about the 3 policies that you need to review and make sure that they align with you and your values and how you want your spa to run. Okay, so the first policy that we need to talk about is your cancellation policy. Why is this so important? Well, your cancellation policy lets your clients know what they can expect if they need to cancel their appointment. And so these are things that you really need to think about, because what are you going to do if a client cancels on you and you realize that you actually want to be paid for the time that you reserved for them? So there's a couple things that you can do when it comes to this. You can decide if you want to charge a deposit so that in the case that someone has to cancel or reschedule, you already have a deposit. So you're still able to get paid something for the time that you reserved for them that could have been a whole different appointment for someone else if they were to cancel last minute or no show or whatever the case may be. And you can charge deposits, you can get cards on files. That's something that I did for a very long time. You can easily do that using Square or really any payment processing tool. You need to decide, what are you going to do if a client has an emergency? So if they have a medical emergency or a family emergency, how do you want to handle that? So these are things to think about. And when it comes to your cancellation policy, or really any policy that you enforce, really think about how are you communicating this policy with your clients. So for me, my clients, they have to agree to them whenever they book an appointment. If they were to call over the phone, they are always read the policies, no exceptions. So no matter what, I know that they're aware of the policies. The policies are also reinforced in any follow-up emails that they get, any follow-up text messages, and in the intake form that they have to fill out. They have to acknowledge the policies. So as you can tell, those are so many different places that I place the policies just to make sure that the policies are respected and make sure that everyone knows what to expect when they come into their appointment. When you are creating your cancellation policies, it really needs to satisfy 3 different criteria. The first criteria is, how much of a notice do you need in order for a client to cancel? So in my practice, we need a 24-hour notice. And so I give them opportunities well in advance to cancel or reschedule their appointment. But you need to think about what is ideal time frame for them to let you know that they need to cancel their appointment. For some people, it might be 12 hours. For some people, it could be the hour before. For some people, it's 24 hours in advance, and some people need more notice than that. So it really depends on the type of work that you do. You might want to consider more notice in the case that you are a mobile practice, because you have to do so much more to prepare for the appointment. The second criteria is, what are the fees associated with canceling? So let's say that they did not meet that time criteria. Let's say they canceled less than 24 hours. hours in advance, what is going to be the penalty? Are you going to charge them 100% of the service? Are you going to charge them 50% of the service? Are you just going to charge them just a flat rate fee? Will you just reschedule that appointment and then there's no fee? There's so many different ways to go about it. And if you have a certain way that you do your cancellation policy, I really want to hear it down below, like what ideas y'all have when it comes to enforcing your cancellation policy. The third thing that you want to consider, or the third criteria that you need when it comes to creating your cancellation policy, is what happens if you need to cancel. If you need to cancel on the client, just to keep things fair, what is something that you might offer them? For some practices, you might not offer them anything. In other practices, you might offer them a free 30 minutes. Maybe you offer them some type of bonus, but you offer something to essentially apologize for canceling on them, especially if it didn't meet that, let's say, 24-hour criteria or whatever time criteria that you put place for your cancellation policy. So think about what happens if you or one of your team members have to cancel on your client in less than the time frame that you require for them. What are you going to do? How are you going to make sure that your clients are still satisfied? Some clients don't care. Some clients are flexible. Some clients, all it takes is a quick text message and they're okay with that. But something I recommend for you is to really have these things in place and be consistent with it. Don't bend for one client and not the next client. Be consistent with every single client so that no one's necessarily getting like special treatment. And of course, there are some scenarios where you might bend on your cancellation policies a little bit. Just depends on the relationship you have with them. But I highly recommend just being as consistent as you can with it, just so that no one really crosses your boundaries or makes you feel, let's say, resentful for the session because you didn't stick to what you said you were going to do when it comes to the cancellation policy. The second policy that you have to have when you are starting your massage business is your late policy. What is your late policy? What happens if your clients are late to their sessions? So there's a couple ways to go about this, because your late policy, if a client is late, it really can affect the appointments coming after that client or even your staff schedule. It can affect a lot of different things. That's something that our clients don't always realize. So if someone is a certain amount of time late, what happens? Do they get a partial amount of their time? So for example, if your client is late to a 50-minute hands-on session and let's say they're 10 minutes late, that means that there's about 40 minutes left in the session. Plus you have to consider, you have to clean up after them, you have to check them out, you have to sanitize after they leave and prepare for the next client. And you may or may not have a buffer in between your appointments. So do they get partial time? Do you give them the full time and then you have to call all your other clients and move them over? What are you going to do in that scenario? In my practice currently, I give them the option to have a partial amount of time. And then in some cases, they decide, okay, maybe that's not worth it. Let me just reschedule. And if they reschedule that appointment, that still qualifies as the cancellation policy. So I would still charge them if they had to reschedule. And so you have to decide what works best for you. What works for me may not always work for you. And what I'm doing right now could change in the future. So what policy do you need if your clients are late? And then you have to think about the reverse. So what is the policy if you're late? So let's say you do mobile massage appointments like I used to do. What are you going to do when you're late to your mobile appointment? Do you call the client? Do you offer your client something? Do you have to move over all the appointments that you have after you? Because you have to consider, the travel time and the cleanup time and all the different things that happen after the session. So think about what is the policy if you end up being late as well. And then sometimes you have to think about what are the exceptions to the rules. For example, I've had clients who are running a little bit late, but they give the courtesy of letting us know. And when they let us know, okay, now I can figure out what I need to do. Do I need to call my other clients? Do I just let her know that I give her, partial amount of the time? But I have to figure out what am I willing to accommodate when it comes to my clients. So think about what are the exceptions to the rules. If a client is only 5 minutes late, maybe that's still okay. But let's say there's a cutoff time. If they are 30 minutes late, then you cancel the appointment and maybe you charge something. So think about all the different exceptions to the rules and really be thorough when it comes to setting your late policy, because it's super important. And it's also important to encourage a certain type of spot etiquette when it comes to your business. So you want your clients to know if for your business and your service, if it's unacceptable to service a client if they're 30 minutes late. So just think about what habits you want to create with your clients clients, because whatever you enforce in the beginning, people will take notice of that even later on when you're more experienced in your practice. So the third policy that I want to talk about is going to be your gift card / your package policy. So on this channel, I talk a lot about how a lot of my income comes from the packages that I sell, the groups of services that I sell, and I get a lot of questions about this. So let me know in the comments if you want a video specifically about packages, massage packages, and the logistics of it and how it works. Anyways, you need to have policies for your packages and your gift cards. The first type of policy that you need to have for your package or gift card is the expiration date. This was a huge mistake that I made in the beginning of starting off with, gift cards and packages, is I didn't really have an expiration date for them. So someone could have, several sessions in their package and, they're just kind of sitting there. And so that's a problem, especially if you're thinking about, what is the expenses associated with your packages, like how much are you trying to get paid? There's just so many different things when it comes to packages or gift cards. So set an expiration date for your gift card or package. For me, they expire essentially after 3 months. And in the future, it might be shorter than that, especially because of the type of work that I do. But think about the type of work that you do. If you create like treatment plans, if you see your clients at a cadence of about, once a month, then maybe your expiration date might be a little bit longer. And then think about, do they transfer over? So let's say there's some type of reason that your client cannot redeem their gift card or their package or whatever it is. Can that money that they paid for their gift card or package, can it be transferred into other types of services? Can they use it to buy products at your space? Can they use it for something else? You really want to be really clear with those details of your gift cards and packages, because you really don't want to have any disputes on services that you've technically already sold. So think about that as well. And an example of this is if someone, let's say they buy a gift card at your spa for someone's birthday, and let's say they just found out they're going to be out of the country for the next 3 months. Of course, they want to, use their sessions or get something out of it, especially if your gift card expires in the next 3 months. So at that point, you have to decide, are they able to purchase something else with it? Is it even worth it? Are they able to get other types of services with that gift card? So really draw that out and make it very clear to your clients so that before they even put in their credit card information to purchase whatever it is, the gift card or the package, then they know exactly what they can expect after they buy it, like what the rules are, what you will and what you will not accept. So that's super, super important. And so I've just shared a lot of different tips and, different criteria for setting your policies. So really just brain dump and brainstorm, like what are the things that kind of don't make you feel good in your practice that you can have a policy for. That's what policies are for. There's just another term for having boundaries in your practice. Think about that, and even think about other types of services. So I have certain policies when we do spa parties. I have certain policies if we do like a special event or something like that. For example, for spa parties, I require that if anyone on staff is working for more than 2 hours, that they have to have a break in between before they continue working on other people, especially if the spa party is, longer than 3 hours. So think about those things. Think about when is your mandatory break. I mean, your clients don't have to know like when you take a break in your spa, but have certain policies for yourself or certain boundaries for yourself when it comes to, okay, I can do 3 appointments and then I really need to take a lunch break, at least for an hour before I feel good enough to continue working. So don't even think about just policies that you're going to enforce with your clients, but what are some policies that you can enforce for you? Because these same policies that you have, you're likely going to enforce when you have your team members or when you start to grow your staff. So that's why it's super important for me to enforce policies, because I have to think about my staff, my team members, how I'm going to protect their time, how I'm going to, respect their boundaries and their limits. And so you want to think in the same way. Think long term, don't think just short term. I hope this video was helpful. I'm going to leave some more videos on the page if you want to binge some more business strategy tips, and let me know in the comments what policies do you need? Did I miss anything? And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.